excuse me. Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. How are ya? Saturday morning here, dressed and ready to go out for my nan's birthday lunch. Looking forward to it. But first of all, I thought I would do a little book haul for you. So I've been saying this year that the book hauls are sort of a little bit being absorbed into my Friday reading vlogs. The library hauls certainly are being. But I've got such a stack here that I thought it would be worthwhile actually showing you these rather than just absorbing them in. So I've got quite, well, 2, 4, 6, 8 sent to me from the publisher, all of which being Pan Mac. Thank you, Pan Mac. And then I've got one from my wish list, one I got from a community library, and one of you lovely lot, Patreon lovely lot, sent to me. So let's start with those. So the one I got from the community library, so I was out for a walk with my sister, and I knew there was a community library, sort of about 10-minute walk from where I live. And I went there and I picked up Jane is Trying, which I've already read and sent and taken back to the community library, and also Commonwealth by Anne Patchett. I remember Mercedes mentioning this was one of her favourite books, and I've been meaning to read it for a long time, and saw it there. And what I've been doing now with because my dad told me he was going to build me a community library to pop outside our house so I could put all my books in. He has yet to do that. So when I finished all my January books, I said to my friends and family, does anyone want any of these? And anything else went back to the community library, including Tackle by Gilly Cooper. And then when I went back to the community library, all the books that I dropped off, there's about 8 of them, all of them are gone. So very, including Jane is Trying, which I got from there originally. So the plan is once I finish reading books, unless I love them and keep them on in book heaven on my top shelf, I'll take them back. But anyway, that's the tale of the community library. This is Anne Patchett's Commonwealth. It says it's 1964. Bert Cousins shows up at Fanny Keating's christening party uninvited and notices a heart-stoppingly beautiful woman. When he kisses Beverly Keating, his host's wife, he sets in motion the joining of 2 families whose shared fate will be defined on a day 7 years later. In 1988, Fanny Keating, now 24, is working as a cocktail waitress in Chicago. When she meets the famous author Leon Posen one night at the bar and tells him about her family, she unwittingly relinquishes control over their story. Sounds good, doesn't it? Looking forward to it. And then from I love a seasonal read anyway, so this is very exciting to me. It's beautiful as well. Then from my wish list, one of you lovely lot was kind enough to send me Autumn Chills by Agatha Christie. Stop it. There's 4 of these in the seasons, you guess, and this is the autumn one, which, I mean, to be honest, is the most beautiful. Look at that. So this is definitely going to be going on the old autumn TBR. And it includes short stories from Agatha Christie, including such as Murder in the Mews, The Case of the Rich Woman, While the Light Lasts, Triangle at Rhodes, Death by Drowning, The Bird with the Broken Wing, The Le Mesurier Inheritance, The House of Lurking Death, Tape Measure Murder, The Voice in the Dark, 4 and 20 Blackbirds, and the only one out of these that I have heard of, The Witness for the Prosecution, which I'm excited to read because Dave and I went to watch the stage show of that last year and bloody loved it. So yeah, that is going to be gorgeous. I mean, look at it. Foil, naked hardback, autumn colours, autumn chills. Very, very excited for that. And then the last one before I get on to the publisher books is one that was sent to me by one of my lovely Patreons who had this and had read this, and I was saying I was interested in reading it, and she had a copy, so she sent it along to me. And it's The Queen of Dirt Island by Donal Ryan. In Nenagh, County Tipperary, 4 generations of Elwood women, Matthew Elwood, live and love. The head of the family, Nana, is a woman who has buried 2 sons and whose life has been the family farm. Her daughter-in-law, Eileen, is estranged from her own parents, having shamed them and given birth to Saoirse. And then there's Saoirse herself, eavesdropping on things she cannot comprehend. It is only when they must battle for the inheritance of Dirt Island, a narrow strip of land adjacent to Eileen's childhood home, that they truly understand the roots that bind them together. Yeah, it sounds fabulous. And I think I will probably read it at some point in March for the Irish Readathon. Yes, I think that's what will happen. And then I've got a little stack of books here, proofs, arcs from Pam Macmillan. Lots of lovely stuff, all out this year. Some of it out already, maybe. There's 2 books from February. Shall I put them in the order that they come out, and then we can have a look at them together? So February, March, April, May, that's another April, and July. So there we go, exciting. So the first one is Bridget OConnor, another one I could read during the old Irish readathon, I'm sure. After a Dance by Bridget OConnor. This is a selected short stories. It's short stories, guys. In 1991, Bridget OConnor was working at a London canteen when her story Harp won the Time Out Short Story Prize. Over the decade that followed, she achieved great acclaim as a short story writer and playwright, praised for her sharp and gritty writing and sublimely drawn characters. O'Connor was also a celebrated screenwriter. There we go. Oh, they adapted Tinker Tailor's Soldier Spy. Oh, she died in 2010, aged just 49. There we go. But let's have a look at some of these short stories. The titles: Love Jobs, Heavy Petting, After a Dance, At Least Pull Your Jumper Up, Harp, which is the award-winning story, Plastered, Kissing Time, Shop Talk, Old Times, Gabrielle Ascending, Here Comes John, Remission, Nerve Endings, I'm Running Late, We Do Not Forward Suicide Notes. There we go. That sounds great, doesn't it? Another one for the Irish Readathon. Hello, my little girl. This little... You can't see because she's got such a short tail. Nope. You coming over? Then also out in February, 22nd of February, is Where There Was Fire by John Manuel Aras, set in Costa Rica in 1961. When a lethal fire erupts at the American Fruit Company's most lucrative plantation, the future of Teresa Cepeda Valverde's family is changed forever. She's here. Now, 27 years later, Teresa and her daughter Lyra are still picking up the pieces. Lyra wants nothing to do with Teresa, but is desperate to find out what happened to her family that fateful night. Teresa, haunted by a missing husband and the bitter ghost of her mother, Amarga, is unable to reconcile her past. What unfolds is a story of a mother and daughter trying to forgive what they do not yet understand, and the mystery at the heart of one family's rupture, steeped in machismo, jealousy and greed. Wow. This is a debut, and it says it's brimming with ancestral spirits, omens and the forces of nature. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, out on the 22nd of February. There we go. Very nice proof front cover. Then I've got Marta, which is out on the 7th of March. And I also got sent a few little bits to go with this, including including a tote bag that says, The Abyss Gave Me Art, Marta. And I've also got a little zine. Sometimes you get these little things that have been made, and this is a little zine. I always feel like zine is not the way I'm supposed to say it, but zine, little magazine. So let's find out about this. So John Green's blurbed it. The orphan son of Iranian immigrants, Cyrus never knew his mother. She was killed when her plane was shot down in a senseless accident. All his life, Cyrus has grappled with the meaningless nature of his mother's death. Now he is set to learn the truth of her life. When Cyrus's obsession with the lives of the martyrs, Bobby Sands, Joan of Arc, leads him to a chance encounter with a dying artist, he finds himself drawn towards the mysteries of his past, an uncle who rode through Iranian battlefields dressed as the angel of death, and towards his mother, who may not have been or what she seemed. As Cyrus searches for meaning in the scattered clues of his life, a final revelation transforms everything he thought he knew. Electrifying, funny, wholly original and profound, Marta heralds the arrival of a blazing and essential new voice in contemporary fiction. And yeah, it looks as though some of this is told in normal writing. You get the real takes here. Looks like there's some, oh no, maybe not. Maybe I just opened it at a page. Yeah, I think maybe it is. I thought there was some like poetry and stuff in there, but it doesn't seem to look like it. So there we go, there's that one. Then two out in April, Nostalgia by Agnes Arnold Forster, A History of Dangerous Emotion. This is Agnes looking into blending neuroscience and psychology with the history of medicine and emotions to explore the evolution of nostalgia from its first identification in 17th century Switzerland, when it was held to be an illness that could quite literally kill you, to the present day when it is co-opted by advertising agencies and politicians alike to sell us goods and policies. Nostalgia is quite a feeling that I like to feel, so I'm interested in the history of nostalgia. Nostalgia is a social and political emotion vulnerable to misuse and one that reflects the anxieties of the age. It is one of the many ways we communicate a desire for the past, dissatisfaction with the present and our visions for the future. Arnold Forster's fascinating history of this complex, slippery emotion is a lens through which to consider the changing pace of society, our collective feeling of regret, dislocation and belonging, and the politics of fear and anxiety. It's also a clear-eyed analysis of what we are doing now, how we feel about it, and what we might want to change about the world we live in. There we go, out on the 25th of April. Yeah, nostalgia. And then I've got, oh, maybe this is for the Irish readathon as well. Lots of Irish names. Whalefall by Elizabeth O'Connor. This is Picador's lead debut of fiction for 2024. It's 1938, and for Manod, a young woman living on a remote island, the world looks ready to end just as she is trying to imagine a future for herself. The ominous appearance of a beached whale on the island shore and rumours of submarines circling beneath the waves have villagers steeling themselves for what's to come. Empty houses remind them of the men taken by the Great War and the difficulty of building a life of the island's harsh, salt-stung landscape. When two anthropologists from the mainland arrive, Manod sees in them a rare moment of opportunity to leave the island and discover the life she's been searching for. But as she guides them across the island cliffs, she becomes entangled in their relationship and her imagined future begins to seem desperately out of reach. Beautiful, devastating debut tells a story of longing and betrayal set against the backdrop of a world on the edge of great tumult. Let's see if this person is Irish rather than me just assuming. Oh, it might not say in here because it's a proof. I think I'll have to have a further look into that. Then I've got the amendments. Another Irish name, Niamh Mulvey, blurbed by Emma Donoghue. Oh, she's the author of Heart and Bones, which I was going to read last year but didn't, so maybe I'll pop these. So I do know this is an Irish author. Nell and her partner Adrienne are about to have a baby. For Adrienne, it's the start of a new life, and Nell is the reason the two of them are sitting in a therapist's office, because she can't go into this without dealing with the truth that she has been a mother before, and now she can't hardly bring herself to speak to her own mother, let alone return home to Ireland. But to Ireland is where she must go, to the heat of her teenage years in the early 2000s, nostalgia again, as Ireland unpicks itself from its faith, to 1983, where her mother Dolores grapples with the tensions of the women's right movement, and finally to the farms and suburbs and towns that made and unmade the lives at the centre of this town, bound together by the terrible secret Nell still cannot face. Delving into the lives of three women in changing Ireland, The Amendments is an extraordinary tale about love and freedom, belonging and rebellion, and about our past, how our past is a vital presence which sits alongside us. That's going on the... I'm going to make a little pile for me Irish readathon books that are coming, because I need to film a TBR for that. Then I've got Air and Love by Oy Rosenboim, which is a story of food, family and belonging. I love this proof copy. Look at those tiles and that picture at the top. So it's a memoir all about food. I love food, non-fiction, food fiction, so this is very exciting. So as a child, all Rosenboim's knowledge of her family history was based on the food her grandmothers cooked for her. Round king latch balls in hot chicken broth, cinnamon-scented noodle kugel, stuffed vine leaves, herby green rice with a squeeze of fresh lemon juice and aubergine in tomato sauce. God, that sounds good. She knew that her family had a complex past, but it was only reading her grandmother's recipe books after they both died that she began to explore that past for the first time. The result is a vivid chronicle of displacement and escape, retracing the complex network of journeys her family took from Samarkand and Riga to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv in search of safety and a better life, punctuated by the food they ate and cooked along the way. Today, though, these journeys and this long tradition of migration would be almost impossible. There we go. It's a beguiling mixture of history, memoir, travel and recipes. Air and Love is also fresh and deeply human retelling of some of the major stories of the 20th century. Sounds bloody great. I love a book that has recipes interspersed in it. It really makes the book come alive for me. So very much looking forward to that. And then the last one I've got is out in July 2024. It's called Anyone's Ghost by August Thompson. An overwhelmingly beautiful love story. This book will make you cry, says Jonathan Safran. And it says, it took 3 car crashes to kill Jake. The lonely life of 15-year-old Theron David Alden is transformed when he meets Jake. Older, cooler, more confident and startlingly beautiful, Jake likes the same bands, the same drugs and has the same drive to oblivion. Over the course of 2 decades, Theron and Jake get high, drift apart and are brought hurtling back together until a final collision tears them apart forever. Theron wants Jake and he wants to be Jake, but is Jake brave enough to want him back? A gorgeous modern love story about the lives that change us and the loves that haunt us. Anyone's Ghost will break your heart. Well, there we go. So there we go. Lots of lovely books. Some I've put aside, 3 I've put aside for the Irish Readathon. In fact, I'm going to go through my books now and put more stuff aside for the Irish Readathon. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if any of these have interested you. And I will see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!